Hello again. Welcome to The Bernie Show here on SportsHubSTL.com. It's also where you can find all my videos, all of my Redbird review columns and other columns, plus the podcast version of the videos is available on our site, but you can go directly to Spotify or Apple if you find that easier to do. Anyway, I hope you had a good Memorial Day. I'm in the mood, believe it or not, to not eat today on this Tuesday. Yeah, I definitely feel like maybe cutting back's a good idea. What a feast over the weekend. Anyway, I'm Bernie Miklasz, and this is the Bernie Show presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. You know, during the downtime over the weekend, I spent part of the time thinking about the Cardinals' chances of overtaking the Cubs to finish first in the NL Central, because there's been a lot of talk about that. Because the Cardinals at one point, not too long ago, cut the lead. They went from 6.5 games out to 1 game out. Now it's 3 games out. See, this is what happens when you lose to Baltimore, especially at a time where the Cubs are playing the Rockies, right? But in this video, I just listen, and I know before I go forward, I know the Cardinals can get to the postseason as a wild card, but that won't be easy either, because right now, according to Fangraphs and their postseason probabilities, 8 National League teams have a higher probability of making the playoffs than St. Louis. I mean, that's just the reality. Things can change, though, but they can change for the worse, not necessarily the better. You never know. Play the games, right? But in this video, I really wanted to focus on the Cardinals, Cubs, and the NL Central, because the Cardinals and Cubs aren't going to start their season series until June 23rd. So it's kind of frustrating, the fact that, you know, the Cardinals have already played every other team in the division. In some cases, they've played. Well, they played the Reds in Cincy and played the Reds here. Same with the Pirates there and here, and they've played one series against Milwaukee here. Haven't played the Cubs. Good scheduling, MLB. Oh, you never see this with the Yankees and Red Sox, do you? Nah, never see that. They make sure to get them games out there early when those two play. But the Cardinals, Cubs, it's the Midwest. It's okay. You know, we're the East Coast and the West Coast. That's all that matters, you know. So, yeah, let the Cardinals and the Cubs not start their rivalry for the season until June 23rd. Then, on the other hand, with perhaps a tip of the cap to MLB, which I just ripped, maybe that sets up more drama, because they're going to play each other so many times starting June 23rd until the end of the season, the Cardinals, Cubs. Anyway, I don't know why I'm getting into that. You got to line up and play no matter when the games are scheduled. To this point of the season, the Cardinals have had the better starting pitching, but that's mostly because of injuries to Chicago's top 2 starters, Justin Steele and Shota Imanaga. Steele's expected to miss the rest of the season after undergoing elbow surgery. Imanaga tore a hamstring and will return, according to manager Craig Counsell. He will return probably in late June or early July. The Cardinals have a better bullpen than the Cubs, and the Cardinals' bullpen's been really good since April 25th. The Cubs' bullpen is improving, so I'm not sure where both of these bullpens will be by the 3rd week of June, when these teams finally will play each other. I gotta say, man, and if you were coming here for like the Fredbird treatment of this, and you want someone to be a mindless cheerleader, I can't help you, because what I'm going to tell you, and I'm going to break it down. I mean, what separates the Cubs and the Cardinals is offense. It's not even close, really, and that's strange in a way, because the Cardinals have a fine offense. They rank 8th in the majors with an average of 4.74 runs per game. But with all due respect to the Cardinals, and I do respect their offense doesn't measure up to the Cubs, because really there's only 2 offenses, two attacks in all of Major League Baseball, talking about the Yankees and the Dodgers, that measure up to the Cubs. I mean, they're like the top 3, and there's a drop-off, and the Cardinals are part of the teams when you get to that drop-off, even though the Cardinals have done well offensively this year. And again, much respect for that. And listen, when I'm talking about the Cardinals offense not measuring up to the Cubs so far is the key thing there. But I don't see where the Cubs are going to suddenly stop hitting for a long period of time. But I'm not just saying this because the Cardinals went into Baltimore after sweeping the Diamondbacks, and just great series over the weekend. And boy, what a dud on Memorial Day at Camden Yards. The Cardinals were just absolutely feeble against the Orioles' 73-year-old starter, Charlie Morton, who had a 7.68 ERA coming into Monday's game. And I know Charlie Morton's 41, but I'm going to say he's 73 because it seems like he's been around that long. Anyway, in a sloppy and uninspiring and a disappointing 5-2 loss, the Cardinals made old Charlie look like my friend Jim Palmer. It was kind of sad, but you have stinker games. So I'm going to toss that game out and assume that the Cardinals will rebound against a Baltimore team that has been simply awful this season and is easily the biggest disappointment in the season among all major league teams. The Cardinals and the Cubs, as I mentioned, are going to play 13 games against each other this season, but not until it doesn't get started till June 23rd. So the Cardinals should hope that maybe the Cubs will cool down by then, because this is a scary offense up there on the north side. And I'll tell you why that Chicago attack is great, and it really is great. But first, I want to give you some good information on DraftKings. DraftKings, of course, where the crown is yours, covers all sports, so you can find whatever sport interests you the most or wherever you think you have the most knowledge. But specifically, if you think you know Major League Baseball, then it's time to put that knowledge to use, put it in play, and win big cash prizes. And DraftKings Pick Six, you just focus on player stats, select anywhere from 2 to 6 players, choose whether the individual player will go higher or lower on a specific stat set for his next game by DraftKings. Like an example, Cardinals outfielder Lars Nootbaar is in a terrible slump, and DraftKings has a line of 0.5 homers for Newt for Tuesday's game in Baltimore. Well, if you think he's going to go deep, then take the higher, because all he needs is one home run to finish higher than that line of 0.5 homers. But if you think Nootbaar is going to not go deep, no home runs at all, then you would take the lower than 0.5 homers. Yeah, it really is that simple, and it is a lot of fun. I've enjoyed playing it. There are so many good options to choose from when selecting your pick six players. So here's an invitation to get into the game and take your best shot at winning that cash. Pick Six is available in Missouri, California, Texas, Georgia, and more. You'll really enjoy tracking your players that you've selected. That's part of the entertainment. But as I always tell you, the most entertaining part is winning, right? And you can do that at DraftKings. It's very easy to get started. You just download the DraftKings app and you open an account. Then you choose a sport, pick your players, and go for it. New players in DraftKings get $50 in Pick Six credits instantly with a $5 entry. Download the DraftKings Pick Six app now and use the code STL Sports. That's code STL Sports for new customers to play $5 and get $50 in Pick Six credits. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick Six from DraftKings. The crown is yours.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 and over. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick Six not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick Six credits that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. See terms at picksix.draftkings.com/promos.
Let's get back to the Cardinals and the Cubs. And when I talk about each other's offense, let me reset. I'll put it this way. The Cardinals have a good offense. The Cubs have a great offense. The Cubs offense is much more consistent than the Cardinals. More on that in a minute. Consider this. The Cardinals, let me just kind of lay it out for you what a dominant offense this has been for Chicago Cubs. They lead the majors with an average of 6 runs per game. That's right. They average 6 a game. They're first in hits, second in triples, third in doubles, fourth in homers. The team up north is also third in the majors with 65 stolen bases, and when they try to steal a base, they're successful 85.5% of the time. It's one of the best in the majors. Cardinals aren't good at stealing bases. One guy only is, and that's Victor Scott II. Cardinals can't match up with that. So don't be sitting there saying, well, they got to try to manufacture some runs. Yeah, they manufacture some runs, the Cardinals do, but they do it in a smart way, not by running into outs in stupid attempts to steal bases. They're not good at it. All right. They got one guy who's great at it. Cubs hitters have the 9th highest walk rate in the majors, and they don't strike out a lot. They rank 2nd in the majors in batting average, 3rd in on-base percentage, 3rd in slugging, third in OPS, 25% above league average offensively based on OPS plus. They've scored 5 or more runs 30 times in a game this season. Tied for first in the majors. They've scored 6 or more runs 27 times this season. 6 or more in a game 27 times. That's the most in the majors. What about clutch hitting? The Cardinals have been pretty good at that. Yeah, the Cardinals have been real good. The Cubs have been insane. They have ridiculous numbers with runners in scoring position, hitting .302 with a 516 slugging percentage. Let me do that. See, I choked on the words. A .302 average and a 516 slugging percentage and 26 homers with runners in scoring position. Whoa. The Cubs lead the major league offenses, all of them an average run scored over the final 4 innings and the final 3 innings, and they are second in average runs scored over the final 2 innings of a game. In other words, these boys will beat you up late. Because the Cubs score so many runs late in games, check out this stat. Because the Cubs are so good at doing damage late in games. You know what? The opposing team's bullpens, when you take all the Cubs opponents and you look at what all the relievers have done against the Cubs. So it's the major league composite, all relief pitchers versus the Chicago Cubs this season. You know what their ERA is? This is like ridiculous. 6.91. 6.91. That's what the Cubs are doing to beat up bullpens. From top to bottom, the Cubs manager Craig Counsell will put a lineup together from a pool of 10 hitters, 11 hitters that are all above average offensively. Some Cubs hitters are way, way above average, including Kyle Tucker, Pete Crow Armstrong, Michael Busch, Seiya Suzuki, catcher Carson Kelly, and there are others. Like I said, there's guys who are above average, a few more guys, but I'm talking about the guys that are way above average. So how outstanding is this Cubs offense in terms of being top to bottom, right? As a group, Cubs catchers are hitting .294 this season, slugging .582, and they have 14 homers and 48 RBIs. It's really it's an impressive performance, whether you hate the Cubs or love them. If you just want to know who's good and who's got a great offense, the Cubs do. There's no need for me to deny this and act like a little petulant child, a little diaper baby. The Cubs have a hell of an offense. They entered Tuesday, by the way, with 108 games remaining and have the second easiest remaining schedule in the majors. The Cardinals' remaining schedule is not that hard either, but still, the Cubs got the second easiest remaining in the majors, according to Tankathon. That's a site where you can find that stuff. Their schedule, the Cubs, includes 30 games total against the Pirates, Rockies, White Sox, Orioles, Nationals, and Angels. Enough about the Cubs. I was just trying to explain why I believe the team up north will be difficult to overcome. Their offense, their schedule, the deep nature of their offense, and a bullpen that seems to be improving. But the Cardinals weren't supposed to be this close to the Cubs in the standings. And when I return, I want to talk about the other team, the one here, the Cardinals, and explain why I do have some concerns about the St. Louis offense. But first, I got some concerns about my fellow man. I want to get the word out about Blue Chew and give you some encouragement to all the guys out there. Gentlemen, especially those of you around my age, Medicare eligible age, please listen to what I have to say. Blue Chew can help you have a more pleasurable and fulfilling life with your significant other. So why miss out? Why not take some action? I have no hesitation in making sure you know about the benefits of Blue Chew. Why? Because I've been there, done that. This affects a lot of men in our great country. There's no reason to shy away from getting help, and it's easy. Blue Chew is the original brand offering chewable tablets for enhanced intimacy. Think of Blue Chew as a leadoff hitter, if you will. When it's time to turn your attention away from sports and focus on your partner, Blue Chew is your leadoff hitter. You will get your first month of Blue Chew free. You're just a few clicks away, and it's really, really easy to get going. You just sign up at BlueChew.com. You consult with one of their licensed medical providers. Then once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA and shipped directly to your door. It's all done online. No visits to the doctor's office. No trying to book appointments. No awkward conversations. No waiting in line at the pharmacy. You just order in line and you're good to go. Trust Uncle Bernie when I tell you this. And I think you know this already, but I'm going to remind you, there's nothing more attractive to your partner and confidence. And Blue Chew can help give you the confidence when you need it. We've got a special deal for our listeners and viewers. Try your first month of Blue Chew free when you use the promo code Bernie. Just pay $5 in shipping. That's promo code Bernie. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring The Bernie Show. All right, let's get back to business here. I've told you about the mighty Cubs offense. Now let's talk about the Cardinals offense. Like I said a couple times already, Cardinals have a good offense. You know, I've mentioned all the areas where they rank top 10, top 11 in the major leagues, but it's also inconsistent. And see, I think the fact that the Cardinals have had some of these big high-scoring games, I think it creates a little bit of a misleading look at the overall offense, if that makes sense. And I'll explain coming up here now. While the offense has generally been fine in May, the performance is down from where the Cardinals were offensively over the first month of the season. Now, here's the thing I'm going to talk about. So, you know, those games where they score 10 plus runs in a game, those things are fun. They're entertaining, and they're basically a guaranteed victory. And the Cardinals have done that 4 times in May, and we still got a little time left in May, but the Cardinals have done it 10 times. They've scored 10 runs or more in a game 4 times in May. But if you want to be honest about this, that really doesn't define them, because aside from those 4 eruptions where they went nuts, right? The Cardinals have averaged 3.4 runs in their other 19 games in May. That's not good. And while those 10-run explosions are fun, this same cast of hitters have been held to 2 runs or less 7 times this month. In fact, the Cardinals have been held to no more than 2 runs in 5 of their 7 losses in May. And the Cardinals have been also held to no more than 1 run, no runs at all, or 1 run in 5 games. And all of those, except for 1, when Jordan Walker hit that home run in Kansas City. But 4 of those 5 games have been losses. So the Cardinals have way too many games where they score 1 or no runs. And, listen, they're not a powerful home run team either. We know that already. But after hitting a homer every 35 at-bats in the opening month, they're homering every 40 at-bats in May. So it's kind of slowing on them. The Cardinals slugging percentage in May, 386, is a drop of about 19 points where they were at the end of April. Individuals are struggling, really struggling, or 2, and I'll have more info on that in my Redbird review column coming up later today. But Lars Nootbaar and Nolan Arenado are having a brutal May, each of them. But there's also a list of all the St. Louis hitters I'm going to provide, and without a lot of numbers, I'm just going to tell you who's below average and who's doing well this month. Below average compared to where they were at the end of April. Nootbaar, Arenado, Victor Scott II, Nolan Gorman, Jordan Walker, Pedro Pages, and Yoel Pozo have all fallen off from where they were at the end of April. Although I want to stress something. Victor Scott II is having an average month compared to being about 10% above average in the first month. He's still respectable. He's still holding his own. Now, Brendan Donovan and Mason Wynn's offense, each of those guys, it slipped a little in May, but it's really nothing worth talking about other than just mentioning it slipped a little. Basically, among guys who play, the only dudes that are having a stronger May and a much stronger May after a cold April are Alec Burleson and Wilson Contreras. And, of course, Ivan Herrera is on the scene. He was activated from the IL on May the 9th. He's been phenomenal since then. So we have to factor him in going forward. But as much as here's what I mean, it's kind of frustrating to compare the Cardinals and the Cubs. As much as I've touted the Cubs for hitting a lot of doubles, we all have. Cardinals, they hit a lot of doubles. They're not a home run team, but those fellas hit a lot of doubles, and it's true. But even their rate of doubles per game has dropped in May compared to the first month. And it's not a big drop, but it's a drop nonetheless. And you'd like to see them ratchet that doubles total up again. And you'd like to see more guys hit a lot of doubles. I mean, Brendan Donovan's got 18, I believe. Like to see some other people join the doubles party, right? That's the problem for the Cardinals. When I sit around and thinking about this and look up numbers, when I'm trying to just wonder, unless the Cubs collapse offensively, which again is not realistic, right? They'll maybe settle down a little bit, but it's too good of an offense to go dry for a long period of time. So I keep wondering, well, how can the Cardinals offensively keep up with the Cubs offense? It's a hell of a challenge. I tell you what, the Cubs hit home runs at a much higher rate than the Cardinals. The Cubs are averaging more doubles per game than the Cardinals. The Cubs have 13 triples. The Cardinals have only 2. The Cubs have a higher on-base percentage than St. Louis, a higher slugging percentage than St. Louis. They have stolen 30 more bases than the Cardinals, and they have performed better with runners in scoring position than the Redbirds. Unlike the Cardinals, the Cubs limit the number of times that they get held to 2 runs or less, or certainly 1 or no runs in a game. I mean, the Cubs just don't let that happen to them very often. The Cardinals, maybe a little too often. I'm guessing by now some of you are thinking, and I understand why. I'm not putting you down. No, not taking any shots here. But some of you might be thinking, well, what about the home ballparks, Bernie? The Cubs play at Wrigley Field. And so, of course, they're going to score more runs than the Cardinals because Busch Stadium suppresses offense. I hear you. Number one, the idea that Wrigley Field is some kind of launching pad. That went out the window a long time ago. It's not this ballpark that used to, that used to play the way the ballpark in Cincinnati plays now. But with all the buildings and all the stuff that they've done beyond the walls at Wrigley, it's kind of changed the wind currents. And it's a good offensive park, but it's not a great offensive park. But to get to the heart of the matter, when you say, well, of course the Cubs are scoring more. They play half their games at Wrigley Field. The Cardinals have to play in a pitcher's ballpark at Busch Stadium. Busch Stadium sort of tamps down on offense. Not so much, at least not the way it applies to the Cardinals. The Cubs hitting performance, hate to tell you this, but the Cubs hitting performance is better on the road this season than it is at Wrigley Field. And the Cardinals actually hit much better at Busch Stadium than they do on the road. So unlike the Cardinals so far, the Cubs offense is above average at home and on the road, where the Cardinals are below average offensively on the road. I can't figure it out, but they're really good at Busch Stadium. It makes no sense, but those are the facts. Hey, listen, going into the season, the Cubs were expected to win the division, and the Cardinals were expected to crash. So this is a classic underdog versus big dog battle. And we know who the underdogs are. And I can't wait for these teams to have a chance to go at it, ruin their rivalry in that 4-game series in St. Louis that begins June the 23rd. But the Cardinals and their fans have to hope that their team is still close to the Cubs in the standings when June 23rd comes around. Thank you for watching. And thanks to DraftKings for presenting The Bernie Show. DraftKings, the crown is yours. Thank you.